Creamer Media's Mining Weekly is speaking to Natasha Viljoen, the CEO of Anglo-American Platinum. Natasha, can you tell us about the modernization plans that you have at Amandelbult?
Yes, thank you, Martin. I think Amandelbult is a conventional underground platinum mine. And if we consider both safety and efficiency of conventional mining, I think it is important for us to consider alternative ways of making conventional mining safer and more efficient. So there's two portions to the Amandelbult story. The one is the modernization, which continues with the current mining method, but it uses tools and equipment that are safer, more economically friendly, and then becoming more efficient. So you don't change the mining design. The future of Amandelbult, though, we believe that to move it down the cost curve to ensure that it remains viable through cycles would be to then also explore mechanization of the future development of Amandelbult. As we know, to convert a conventional mine into mechanized mine is very often very difficult, if not impossible. So that's why we're targeting new areas in the mine. And the first area that we are targeting is what we call 15 East drop down. And we've been doing our development into this mining area, mine design done, and we will be deploying doking equipment for stoping. And that we're envisaging that we'll start stoping in the second half of this year. It is not extra low profile, it is low profile. It's not the height of the stope that's in this specific case the challenge for us. It's more the depth of the ore body. So the mining method is to go in on a parent dip. The equipment has been tested at our Twickenham mine, but at a much shallower dip. So we know that it can run at the stoping widths that we need.
And, people talk about wanting to go open pit, it's quicker, but I just listened to Master Drilling and they work in 23 different jurisdictions, 23 different countries, and they're saying the emphasis is having to go underground. So I think underground is going to be with us, and therefore to prepare it in this way, we still have to look to conventional mining plus a mixture. What are you looking to at Mogalakwena if you go underground?
So we are exploring different mining methods at the moment. It will be, I think, suffice to say at this stage, Martin, it would be modernized and mechanized. It will not be conventional methods. We're very early in that process, and we are fast-tracking our drilling program to understand the ore body, and then we will match the mining method. But the intention for it would be to be very modern and very mechanized. But I want to agree with you. I think if we think about the impact that we have and access to real estate, even though open pit definitely does have its benefits, I think, again, as I said earlier, if you start to consider the full cost of doing business, the environmental and social impacts that we have from a surface exposure point of view, I think those are all considerations if we consider that cost. I think it's probably just good to add one more thing, the aspect of job creation in South Africa, which I believe is an important part of our accountability as business. But it's interesting that in a debate, that internal debate that we've had around this aspect, the point was made, who says that we need to pay our economic rent on the inside of the gate? And I think that's how the whole strategy of supporting the development of 5 job opportunities outside the mine gate for every 1 job inside the mine gate started to see the light. So when we talk about modernization and mechanization, it's to make sure that we remain relevant and remain economic through the cycle, not walking away from our social responsibility in the country.
Coming back to surface, can you give us an idea of how maintenance is being emphasized at your company?
Martin, I think it is all in the strategy on how you think about maintenance, your asset reliability and integrity. So we are following very disciplined and scientific methods of understanding our current state of our assets. Using technology to do that all, and we're talking infrastructure, civils, but also the continuous monitoring of our running equipment. and then aligning our maintenance strategy to the risk. Unless you've got a very good view on the current state of your asset, it's very difficult to make those risk-based decisions. So when the cycle then goes down and you need those trade-off conversations, you can then make it with the right information at hand. And that's exactly the way we've approached it now. And I think with good prices, we do have a little bit of leeway of spending a little bit more money. That is different to when the cycle goes down. And we are basing it on good fundamentals of understanding the state of our asset and then doing and overlaying an appropriate asset management strategy. I do think we often think about SIB only around developments and pushbacks in terms of mining assets. We forget that there's other infrastructure that we need to look at. That's the one thing. And we also forget that it's about how we operate these assets. If we have a continuous debate with our shovel operators, for instance, or what is the fragmentation when you blast, how do you treat your shovel if you have to load big rocks? That's not the design of the asset. And you can take that through whether it's a shovel in the mine or whether it's a processing piece of equipment, a mill or a crusher or a furnace for that matter. How we operate these assets are as important as how we maintain them.
And what are you prioritizing at the moment? What are you finding that you have to do in the short term?
So it is structural integrity. So because very often if you look at your equipment, you can go through a replacement cycle where structural integrity, whether it's steel or concrete, and then other of your infrastructure like electrical substations, that kind of backbone infrastructure that we very often forget and that does age, that is our focus at the moment.
And people were talking about capital allocation at the moment, and there seemed to be an interest in people talking about new projects. And I think that you were taxed with when is there going to be a new project announcement from Anglo American Platinum?
I think there's a huge excitement about the future of Mogalakwena. I think equally though, Martin, when prices are high, we've seen in 2008, our discipline around appropriate capital allocation is important. So we could definitely be trapped into good prices now to make hasty decisions. If we consider that the Mogalakwena has got a 50-plus year life, and what we're setting out to do could set the direction for this asset for the next 10 to 20 years, taking a year or two longer, not being enticed by good prices, but making the fundamental correct decisions to ensure that this asset remains at the bottom end of the cost curve throughout the cycles, I think is what we're busy with. So yes, I often ask myself, well, should we be moving faster? Should we be moving slower? We all get very excited about the opportunities in the near term, which are real. But if you have a fundamental belief in the industry and in the future of our product, which we do, then taking it slightly slower and making the right decisions, I think it would be the important thing. I think the other thing is just to that point, we often forget that we do have this beautiful asset called Mogalakwena, but we've got 3 equally other beautiful projects or assets which has a very specific role to play in our portfolio, and we are continuously considering how they play their role in the future of our portfolio.
And we mentioned the Amandelbult. What other assets are you referring to?
We're talking Mototolo and then Unki in Zimbabwe. And then we've obviously got the 2 JVs, the one with at Kroondal with Sibanye, which is coming to the end of its life. So that's not part of that. It is how we run that operation to its natural end. But then Modikwa, which is a JV with ARM, and considering what are the future opportunities for those assets.
Can you give us an update on the hydrogen truck that will be developed by mid-year at Mogalakwena?
We're very excited about it. The drivetrain has undergone the last little bit of tests and it's on its way to South Africa. The truck is ready. I've been out to site on Friday, this recent Friday, with some of our board members. We've seen the development of the electrolysis plant going up. So very excited to get wheels on the ground second half of the year. We've got really good support from a very good technical team. So looking forward to making that work.
That was Creamer Media's Mining Weekly, speaking to Natasha Viljoen, the CEO of Anglo American Platinum.